Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. Another week of action and some more race series coming to an end, with the W Series having its last two rounds in America, European Le Mans Series ending in Portugal, and the BTCC crowning their champion at Brands Hatch. We also have action from Extreme E coming from the island of Sardinia, and Super GT from Autopolis. So with all that action, make sure you subscribe and let's begin.
Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
So the final rounds of the W Series Season 2 came to us from America supporting the Formula 1, and it was all about Jamie Chadwick versus Alice Powell. Could Powell unseat the reigning champion? Well, the first race saw Chadwick on pole and Powell down the field, so it looked like a difficult task. But it looked like Emma Kimmerleinen had got the jump at the start, but she failed to stop the car at the first corner and dropped back with Jamie Chadwick leading away. Belen Garcia had moved up from 6th to 2nd but began dropping back, with Kimmerleinen getting past along with Sarah Moore and Alice Powell, who was slowly climbing through the field. Abby Eaton retired from the race and Marta Garcia had a spin, but the race ended with Chadwick winning and extending her lead in the title race. Race 2 was not a very entertaining race. Again, Chadwick led from pole whilst Powell was in the pack. She went sideways whilst trying to overtake and spent most of the race following Marta Garcia. Fabienne Volvend retired after a disappointing weekend and season. Sabre Cook was running 9th and it looked like she was going to score her first points of the year until Jessica Hawkins spun her around. Alice Powell eventually got past Garcia but far too late, and Jamie Chadwick took her second win of the weekend and the championship. Jamie Chadwick is now a two-time W Series champion. If she doesn't get a drive in Formula 3 or maybe even Formula 2, then the W Series is failing in what it set out to do. Same goes for the rest of the field. You see some of these women in other race series, largely GT or endurance races, but are they really any more prominent than before? Maybe it has helped, but I'm still not convinced. As for Alice Powell, she is 28. I don't see her beginning on the path to Formula 1 anytime soon, but she could perform well in something like DTM. I just think the organisers of this series need to look at what the aims of the series are and if it can be a launchpad to bigger things. Extreme E came to us from Sardinia and everything was settled by breakdowns and a couple of big crashes. A lot of cars ran into trouble in Quali 1. Molly Taylor once again managed to roll her car, keep it going, and not even really lose that much time. A talent up there with walking off gunshot wounds. Impressive but entirely unwanted. The Excite car broke its suspension. The Andretti car was slow with broken power steering, whilst the X44 car spun with Gutierrez at the wheel, but still managed to win this section of qualifying with Sebastian Loeb driving like a man possessed. Michaela Arlen Kotlinski spun and the Veloce car broke in Q2. Loeb and Gutierrez again won the round, but the Chip Ganassi car finished second. Carl Leduc almost matched Sebastian Loeb, whilst Johan Kristoffersen was slowed down with a puncture. Chip Ganassi have been a surprise package so far this year. Semi-final 1 had a lot of drama. The Andretti car with Timmy Hansen at the wheel managed to send the X44 car of Gutierrez off the road and into the bush, where their semi-final ended. The Andretti car was damaged and Chip Ganassi cruised to the easiest win they'll ever take. The Andretti car was disqualified for causing a collision, so the X44 would return in the final alongside Chip Ganassi. The second semi-final was nowhere near as interesting. Carlos Sainz broke down, leaving Kristoffersen and Molly Taylor to take an easy win, with the apt Cupra car behind them and joining them in the final. The crazy race lived up to its name, with the Excite car breaking down again and Stefan Sarazan deciding to launch his car into the air and completely destroying it, leaving the JBXE team to take the final place in the final. Again, this was all about cars breaking. First Sebastian Loeb got a puncture and then the suspension broke, meaning the X44 car has never got to the finish of a final, despite finishing every qualifying round first so far this season. Chip Ganassi led until they too broke down just after Sarah Price got in the car, and the JBXE car was limping round and managed to take third. Kristoffersen and Taylor won for Rosberg Racing and they increased their lead with 1 round to go. These cars are way too fragile. Almost every round has been decided in some way by a mechanical failure. That's something this series will work on, I'm sure, but for the X44 team, if they don't win this championship, it'll be because the cars are being pushed to their absolute limits and beyond it. The RXR team seem to have found a good mix of speed and car preservation, and they deserve this championship. The final round of the British Touring Cars for 2021 came to us from Brands Hatch, and Andy Neate crashed at Druids, but didn't seem to hit anyone else, so maybe he has learned something this year. This was not an entertaining race. It was a Honda 1-2-3, with Josh Cook winning from Senna Proctor and Gordon Shedden, and Ashley Sutton finished ahead of Colin Turkington, pretty much wrapping up the title. Senna Proctor went out at the start of race 2, and Colin Turkington got past Sutton, but it wasn't enough to stop Sutton from winning his third championship. There was a big crash at the start of this one. Ollie Jackson was spun into the path of Tom Oliphant and Adam Morgan, taking all 3 cars out. We also lost Chris Smiley and Nick Hamilton from this race, which was again won by Josh Cook. The third race was shocking for the retirement of Colin Turkington, but he did manage to hold on to second in the championship, with Josh Cook ending the year just 3 points behind. Ashley Sutton as a 3-time champion is impressive given that he is just 27 years old. He has won the championship in half of his 6 years in the British Touring Cars. I can see him taking all the records if he sticks with the series in the years to come. As for Turkington, the 4-time champion has finished in the top 2 for the last 5 years and doesn't seem to be getting any worse behind the wheel, but he was a bit lacklustre this year. He seemed to lack a bit of fight. 2022 is going to be different as we go to hybrid cars. We may have some new manufacturers on the grid, which will be exciting. European Le Mans has already seen the LMP2 Championship wrapped up, but the 22 United Autosports car won their first race of the year at the final round in Portimao. Jonathan Aberdeen, Phil Hansen and Tom Gamble finished second in the standings, a long way behind Kubica, Delatraz and Yi, who won. Andreas Lascaratos had a huge crash after avoiding the Dequine team car that had lost a wheel. Red flags came out, but luckily Lascaratos was unharmed. Finally, Super GT from Autopolis and a huge crash for the GT300 Mercedes of RQ's Motorsport team. This brought out the safety car for a long time. Apparently it takes as long to build the Great Wall of China as it does a tyre barrier at Autopolis. Tomoki Najiri added to his Super Formula wins alongside Niri Fakazumi, but a lot of the top runners in the championship didn't finish anywhere spectacular, and Naoki Yamamoto could retain and win his third Super GT championship. He's 16 points ahead with just 2 rounds to go. So that was all the action from the previous weekend. Not too much going on this weekend, but V8 Supercars finally returns with a 4-week-long program from Sydney. So we are going to get bored of that track after watching about 8 one-hour races from there. We also have the final round of Super Formula from Suzuka, the penultimate round of NASCAR, and the penultimate round of the World Endurance Championship, with the battle of the Toyotas going to Bahrain. So make sure you subscribe, leave a comment and a like. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.